One of the key roles of the Yachting Journalists Association, otherwise known as the YJA, is to support and recognise young journalists coming through in the field. And on Thursday, up at the Royal Ocean Racing Club, the winner of the 2024 Young Journalist of the Year Award, Kaia Bint Savage, spoke to a group to tell us about some of the work that she did documenting the Maiden Factor's journey around the world.
So, hello everyone. For those I haven't met before, I'm Kaia Bint Savage, and I had the privilege of working with the Maiden Factor for the past 8 years. And the Maiden Factor is an organisation dedicated to empowering girls through education, inspired by the historic, and I'm sure needs no introduction, journey of the yacht Maiden, skipped by Tracy Edwards and the all-female crew in the 1989 to 90 Whitbread Round the World race. So I joined the Maiden Factor back in 2017, originally actually as office admin. And funnily enough, as I was saying earlier, it's literally in this exact building, almost in this exact room that I basically got the job. So I was in a meeting with Tracy, just taking like the minutes as an office admin. And at the end, I turned to her and said, I think we should talk about your social media. Because I was thinking, there's all this amazing stuff you're doing, but who's going to hear about it? She turned and said, what social media? I said, exactly. And then she sort of promoted me on the spot to doing the social media management, which was amazing. And it really changed my life. I was excited, but really daunted. I had not come from a background doing this at all. In fact, I'd done psychology as my undergraduate degree with a focus in child development and forest school education, so really different. But I knew that the Maiden Factor at that time was going to go on to raise money for girls' education, and education was my passion. So I said, I just wanted to say yes to anything, basically. I was so excited about getting involved. But I was nervous, again, to take on a role I hadn't done before, but I felt inspired by Tracy's confidence in me. So I started learning as much as I could. As Maiden underwent her refit, being rescued from the Seychelles, I think I probably talked the guys in the boatyard's ear off every day, asking them questions. And I learned how to use a camera. I learned how to edit, how to get the right tone for social media, create engaging content, interview people, all of that stuff. Although I've got to say, learning to interview people by interviewing the guys working on the boat who didn't really want to be on camera was a bit of a baptism of fire to interviewing, but they did really well. So really good to them. But it wasn't just social media and videography I had to learn. It was anything and everything about sailing. I'd been on a yacht before when I was 4, so I didn't have that background knowledge that everyone else coming into the industry already had. And I thought I was doing well until my first Facebook Live, where I went around Maiden. She had just been all like completely gutted, and I really wanted to show everyone what it looked like. My first mistake was I went into the kitchen and called it a kitchen. And then I went into the toilet. I'm calling it a toilet. The amount of irate comments underneath going, no, it's a head, it's a galley. That was, I realised quite how much I didn't know, basically. At first I panicked, and then I took a step back and realised, actually, I shouldn't panic. I'm literally surrounded by so many experts, especially all the Maiden crew at that time. Just the biggest thank you to them, because I sent them, like the guys in the boatyard, I sent them so many messages. When Google wouldn't quite answer my question, I was on the phone to them at 11:30 going, sorry, I didn't realise the time. I just really wanted to know this. How does this bit on the bow work? That sort of thing. And it took time, but I started understanding. And when the boat was ready to set sail, I finally knew my port from my starboard, although now I'm panicking. Okay, it's right to me this way around. And the first world tour was incredible. We had so many incredible female sailors come along. We had mile builders building up the miles they could sail. And we sailed the crew sailed from country to country, raising funds and awareness for girls' education and empowerment. And I joined them at every stopover. And in Malta, I got my first chance to sail on Maiden, I was so excited. I could barely sleep the night before. I would like to say it was everything I ever dreamed of, but I actually spent 5 hours being violently sick over the edge of the boat. I think the crew got photos of me green, white, green, white, green, white. But I loved it. And doing that first world tour, it was so creative. I got to create a children's version of the Maiden documentary and film, as the feedback we got from primary school teachers was, we want to show it, but there's a few too many cigarettes in people's hands. I wanted to go back and go, it's the 80s. So we basically edited and made a PG version for children. And yeah, basically the thing I love most about that first world tour was getting to raise so much money to help girls' education all over the world. We ran workshops, school tours, film screenings, boat visits, yacht club and school talks and more. And I wanted to show you one of my, please bear in mind it was my very early videos with young people we met. It's got girls from India, Sri Lanka, Canada, the UK, Australia. You'll hear a few more accents in there, all over the world.
I think education is the most important thing any individual should have.
Be whatever you want, you need education.
One of our favourite parts of the Maiden Factor World Tour is meeting all the young people who agree that all girls deserve an education.
Education is such a basic human right, and I feel like there's such an inequality in the world at the moment, especially with girls and their education. So I think breaking down that barrier, just allowing all girls to have equal rights, is really important.
Visiting schools, sailing clubs, making Maiden Aspires videos, the crew and team have been inspired at how many young people are willing to fight for equality in our world.
We are making a giant The Maiden Factor logo!
I think Maiden's story is really inspiring because it showed me if I want to do something, then I shouldn't give up.
Sailing is a male-dominated sport, and just hearing about what Maiden had accomplished, I thought that was really cool.
Women are allowed to do whatever they want, except kill and do criminal things.
Fair enough.
Girl power!
We're so proud to have already supported community projects all over the world that help girls access an education.
The future is definitely female.
When I get to know about the Maiden story yesterday, I was so astonished, and I cannot believe that a fully women crew doing the world tour, and I felt so inspired.
The coolest thing that I've ever seen.
Meeting young people on the Maiden Tour has really shown us that the next generation are going to change the world. Maiden's still got a long way to go on her tour. We really need your help to do that. You can donate on our website or buy something in our charity shop, or you can visit our crowdfunder. Thank you so much.
I wanted to see the boat that made me feel like I could do something this remarkable.
So that was one of the very early videos I made on our first world tour, and it was when I really started realizing how much I loved making videos. So when COVID hit, it was a massive blow. We were on such a great run of engagement and fundraising, but having a boat traveling from country to country to country, meeting thousands of people and shaking their hand is probably the worst thing you could be doing in COVID. So funnily enough, it came to a pause. And my content creation basically changed from documenting to coming up with things to keep people staying positive. The crew spread out all over the globe, sent me their daily workouts, favourite memories, lessons. We did how to cook on boats, that sort of videos. We made podcasts, lessons, worksheets, recommendations and more. And at the same time, I took on a new challenge, a master's in directing and producing at the National Film and Television School in Beaconsfield. And this 2-year course really honed all my camera skills and definitely developed my production and interview skills. And as a result of that, and being inspired by creating content for young people on Maiden, I directed and produced and shot 2 children's short films. Then, brilliant news, the Maiden Factor was able to get back up and running. We got a new sponsor as COVID started to wane. So we kicked off on our second world tour. This one was even bigger and bigger in the press. I was regularly working with news channels and people in the media to share our story and to attract more donations. This then again took another step up when Maiden entered the Ocean Globe race, and this was a whole new kettle of fish. Maiden had done some small races with me when I'd been with them. Those were tiny in comparison to what the Ocean Globe race was going to be. And again, whilst I'd really felt confident building up my knowledge around sailing and sharing these stories, I hadn't covered any sailing races before. It was, again, really daunting. But what kept me from freaking out, again, was the crew. So again, thank you to that crew because, oh my goodness, it was just amazing. They answered any questions I had, recommended books about sailing races, documentaries about sailing races, and I just took everything in. I wanted to make sure I did this incredible crew justice in the race and reported on everything accurately. I was confident when the crew were on land and could give me that information. I was a little bit more nervous when they were about to set off to sea, and again, the Ocean Glow race was going back to the 80s and 90s. This was no communication like I was used to. There were no quick text messages from the crew to give me updates I could post on social media. So there were no quick phone calls, anything. So I spoke to Tracy about this, saying I was a little bit nervous. I wanted to make sure I did it justice. And we spoke about previous members of the Maiden crew that may be able to work with me. And she came up with Sally Hunter, who was part of the original Maiden crew and one of my heroes. She has the best lines in the film. She's so funny. And so we thought, who better to help analyse and share updates on basically the same race as the Whitbread on the same boat she'd done before. And it worked really well. It was a great idea. And together we were able to craft posts for our social media that ended up being some people's first point of call every day when checking for OGR updates. I shared every step of the journey from the preparation of Maiden before the race began and the crew's practice and preparation to being live on the start line and every step, every ocean mile maybe, along the way. At the stopovers, I was there almost every minute documenting the crew and everything they did, every repair, every emotional moment. There were quite a few, and every challenge. And like I've said about 8 times already, the crew were incredible, and many of the moments I took away from the race were down to them. Seeing Heather, our skipper, take on challenge after challenge after challenge, change after change, and taking them in her stride made me feel so proud. It was only a few years before that she had come on Maiden as an apprentice. So to see her now skippering Maiden in this massive race was, it was amazing. And we also had Najiba on board. She was basically sort of my counterpart on the water. She is incredible. When they set sail, she was the videographer and photographer during the race, doing everything media on board. And it's an impressive job already. It was even more impressive if you know about Najiba. She had never stepped foot on a boat before Maiden. It was only a few months before the Ocean Globe race she ever came on Maiden. She had to learn to swim. She took everything on her stride. She's so strong. She's a journalist and a filmmaker from Afghanistan. She's just made an incredible film. Look up Najiba Nouri. She's incredible. And she was able to escape when the Taliban took over, but not all her family was so lucky. She straddled supporting her family with learning to sail, sailing around the world. She's one of the strongest people I know, and getting to share her story with the press and our followers was one of the biggest honours of my life. One of my race highlights was the crew rounding Cape Horn. It was a historic moment made even more historic by the record breakers we had on Maiden. So we had 3 of the first ever black female crew members to sail around Cape Horn. And oh my gosh, us on land, we screamed it from the rooftops. We had multiple news channels and print media pick up the story. We even got on The View with Whoopi Goldberg. She did a short segment on it. And the video I created in celebration was one of our most viewed online. And that's what I'm about to show now. That really is one of my favourite memories of all time. It was just amazing. Is it right for your first page? Thank you. So Maiden arriving in the UK, back into the UK as they completed the OGR was an emotional day. We were so proud of them, but as you all very well know, in a sailing race, it's not necessarily the first to cross the line as the winner. So we had a few more days, or quite a few days, of nervously biting our nails and waiting to find out. When that moment occurred, I wasn't with anyone else. I was sat by myself at home in my home office going through the rushes and the footage from the previous leg. It was a weird way to find out something so grand in such a normal way. A little message just flashing up on my phone whilst I organised files. I sat there and looked back on everything that Maiden had achieved through this race. She had not just made history by becoming the first all-female race crew to win around the world race. Heather had made history, being the first British skipper to lead a crew like in such an event to victory. Additionally, Maiden was the first fully crewed British boat to win around the world race, and also marked significant milestones in representation, with the first black woman to race around the world as crew and the first Afghan women to compete in a round the world race. Through my social media those 9 months, we reached over 10 million people to share these achievements. And my footage was shown across channels like BBC, CNN, Sky, ITV and more. And my photography was featured in many major print publications. But we raised thousands and thousands for girls' education and empowerment at the same time. And that is the biggest takeaway. I was also proud we didn't just celebrate Maiden through these updates. We wanted to celebrate every boat in that race. It was important to me we show good sportsman or womanship during each leg, so I strived to be at every boat arrival I could to cheer as loudly as I can and share the updates as quickly as I could with all those that follow the journey of the OGR. And when Maiden came in, photographing their arrival and filming editing their winning video was the happiest moment of my career so far. It wasn't me up there jumping and celebrating and being showered with champagne, but that didn't matter. I'm so honoured to be the one behind the camera, behind the keyboard, able to show the world what men and girls can do when they're given the chance. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone at the YJA, and especially Katie, for all your support. And I don't think I stopped smiling for I don't think I have actually stopped smiling since winning the award. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you.
If this has inspired you to get involved in sailing journalism, then do take a look at the Yachting Journalists Association website at yja.world. We're going to continue bringing you a wide range of news from the sailing world, so please do subscribe to our channel using the button down here, and take a look at sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com for everything from the world of sailing.